anything else, but, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do. It is a beautiful day here in Korea, the land of the morning calm.
206, 동, 802, 호. 투입이 끝나면 다시 한번 카드를 대주십시오. 투입구가 닫힙니다.
We are going over to get the wife as per usual. We're doing a little short one here today because we're going to walk over to get the wife some bubble tea. Bubble tea is what we're going to be getting the wife today, guys. And so afterwards, though, however, I'm going to be going on a little bit of a longer walk with you guys, and we'll be talking about this issue. So I will not be hanging up the call today. Today, I'm just grabbing the bubble tea, handing it off to the wife, and then I'm going on a nice longer walk. It's beautiful out today, absolutely gorgeous. So I figured, hey, why not? That being, it's not been this nice in a long time. So with that being said, thank you everyone for showing up to my walk and talk. Every monarchist has a libertarian phase from my experience. Yes, but a lot of libertarians do not grow out of it. Hunter-gatherer mode, base, as Nicodemus says. Now, what is libertarianism? Well, that is a question that is very good. Thank you for asking. What is libertarianism? Well, it's impossible to define. You cannot define libertarianism to the satisfaction of any libertarian. No libertarian is ever 100% satisfied with the way that you decide to define libertarianism. They all will equally despise the fact that you are the one that gets to define it and no one else does. And then they will proceed to tell you that their version of libertarianism is the pure, correct, and true version of libertarianism. And all those other libertarians are lacking in some way. The biggest problem with libertarianism is fundamentally its entire principles are based on rugged individualism, which means that you can never get a coherent idea or sense of what is a libertarian and what isn't a libertarian. It's very much like the communists. As Enchanted Hero says below, God bless you, Enchanted, thank you for showing up. True libertarianism has never been tried, and they say the same thing with communism. True communism has never been tried. It is always a effort of futility with these people. You can never get them to admit that their idea of libertarianism has never been tried, and even if they do admit it, they'll simply say, but that's not an argument against it. Well, from a pragmatic perspective, why should I trust something that has not been tried and by its very nature goes against human nature? I'm going to run here real quick so I can make it. So why should I trust it? Sorry, we got a bunch of Koreans here. I am in Korea, but unfortunately, my Korean is not great enough to read it this quickly. Kimchi. Yeah, 안녕하세요, kimchi. Got it. Yep. But libertarianism is not capable of actually advocating for itself. And so what ends up happening is that when you ask them something as basic as, how do you enforce libertarianism? They'll simply say, you don't need to enforce it, you just defend yourself. Everybody, the mechanism to enforce the non-aggression principle is your ability to defend yourself. But the thing is that in practice, that cannot be the case. Why can it not be the case? Well, the reason it cannot be the case is because some group that's bigger, stronger, and better than your group is going to kill you. and then they will take everything they want anyways. So you don't have the ability to defend yourself always. Secondly, the principle of non-aggression assumes that everybody has an equal playing field. It assumes that everybody has equal force protection. And one thing that we know is that's just not the truth. Libertarians and gun rights activists, they often, especially in America, will say, but the gun is the great equalizer. Have you ever seen a woman shoot? I have. It's not pretty. 90% of them cannot shoot well. Actually, I wouldn't even say 90. 99.9% of women, even the top shooters of women, some of the best ones that go hunting frequently and all this other stuff, even they, if you gave the average male, I don't know, a week's worth of training, will shoot more consistently than the average woman. Not only that, they'll be able to shoot bigger caliber, faster, swifter, with more accuracy than any woman. And anybody who's been in the military knows this. We all know this. Not only that, anybody who's been, who has seen police shooting videos and all of these other things knows that you don't always hit your target. And eventually you're going to get in this mad brawl, sprawl, etc., etc. So, first, the principle is that there's some sort of equal standing, and there isn't. Some people are stronger, smarter. Some people are wealthier. They're able to hire or gather bigger and better weapons. It doesn't work. 22 calibers are like BB guns. Oh, I wouldn't say that. You're still gonna die. You get shot. If you get shot by a 22, you're gonna feel it. It's just not gonna rip a giant hole through you. And trust me, you get shot in the head by a 22, you're still gonna die. You know, like that's just like. But that being said, there is truth to it's less deadly than say a good-sized caliber round. But at the end of the day, NAP assumes, the non-aggression principle assumes defense. Defense assumes that everybody has an equal playing ground. Now, that's not even getting into the fact that we have a lot of blind people. We have a lot of retards. And retards as in like mentally incapacitated people that cannot defend themselves. We have people that are psychotic, who literally should not have or should not be able to acquire weapons. And yet, the libertarian has no argument against this. Especially the ANCAPs, who are the ones flooding my mentions. There are a lot of people that should not and cannot, for the sake of those around them, have access to weapons. So they no longer have a means to defend themselves. So immediately, your argument with NAP falls into the gutter. It falls into the gutter. That is the truth of the matter, folks. That is the truth of the matter. And so, so libertarians are incapable of having a consistently applied principle on society. They just assume that, hey, all else being equal, we can all defend ourselves, but that's not how it works. 1 second, guys.
Welcome to Gongcha, Felix's favorite. Thank you.
카드를 넣어주세요. 영수증을 발행하시겠습니까?
Would you like a receipt? No.
Have a good day.
So, sorry guys, it's windy out. So, at the end of the day, the libertarians are not capable of actually explaining how society can function in their position. Now, let's not even get into the fact that if there is a dispute between two people, both people claim that they had a right to aggress. So one person says, I had a right to defend myself, and the other said he didn't have a right to defend himself, so I attacked back. And they disagree about the application of force. Who's the arbiter? Now, they would say the government. But then one libertarian says, but I don't recognize this government's authority to enforce to dictate this thing. Nor do I trust the government to actually be impartial. Well, immediately, what do we go? Anarchy. As guitar tuning says, complete anarchy. Everybody is going to be disagreeing with everybody. Everybody is going to be attacking everybody. Everybody is going to be disputing everybody.
주문하신 메뉴가 준비되었습니다.
감사합니다. Private courts. Okay, so somebody said the common libertarian refrain of private courts, which, under no scrutiny at all, might sound like a good idea. But then immediately, it comes into question is, why should I trust that private court? Well, they'll say, but the two aggrieved parties will agree arbitrarily. But what if they don't agree? Well, the two aggrieved parties will just go to a private court that will settle it. Why does that private court, if, let's say one party agrees, the other doesn't, the private court makes a settlement and makes a decision, why should the other party agree to the settlement of the private court? Furthermore, how does the private court enforce its decision? Furthermore, the act of aggression on both parties, let's just say the act of aggression on both sides has already been committed. Kind of useless at this point, unless, I know this might be shocking, there is a third party who has a position of hierarchical authority over both parties, who can make objective decisions on behalf of both parties because it is over both parties. I was a God's law anarchist for a long time. I made it up. And Capistan ultimately recreates a government, but we call it private now. So suddenly it's different now. Correct. Now, there is, Eric Nicholai talks about this, and I've debated a long time ago. This was like almost 10 years ago. So, I was like 22 at the time, and Eric was much younger as well. He was like in his, late 20s, mid to late 20s. But Eric Nicholai said, I got in debate with him in his live stream, and I don't know if you could even find it anymore. I don't even know if you could find it. But Eric basically said, oh, we'll have private communities, and private communities will agree to blah, 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 blah. And I'll be like, okay, you create your private community, and I move and buy some land right next to your community. But it's my land. I have the deed. Over time, more people join your community. And eventually, people buy all the land around your community. Around my land. and they build their infrastructure and everything else, and I'm happy on my land. But one day I decide, I really want to play graphic pornography on a giant screen in my backyard, and I want to have loudspeakers that blare the moans and everything else to the whole neighborhood's children. Now, I'm not saying that that would be the case, but let's say that there is a person that does that. Now, that person says, I have every right. It's my land. I can do whatever I want. The whole neighborhood, the whole community is outraged, Eric. And this is the exact example I gave him. The whole neighborhood is outraged, Eric. The whole neighborhood is outraged. Everybody is upset. And there's no way for you to hold that person accountable because it's his land. He never signed anything to join your community. You decided to build your community around his land. What do you do about it? Well, we would get someone to, we would build a giant wall around his land. Well, that's questionable. Hello, hey, how are you doing? How are you guys doing? That's questionable because now you're saying, well, you're actually damaging, you're now aggressing on me, Eric, because you're shading my property and killing my crops. And that's how I sustain myself. How dare you, Eric? How dare you? You have actually aggressed on me. And then Eric would say, no, I'm protecting my people. Oh, Eric, It sounds like that guy says, well, I want to hire a military to enforce my will to protect the rights of my crops and the ability for me to be a degenerate. And he has the money to do so, so he hires an army. Then you suddenly are going, whoa, wow, wait, whoa, you can't do that. You're attacking us, non-aggression principle. And I say, no, I have to protect my interests. And if you people are committed to attacking my interests on my land, then I'm going to defend those interests. Oh, wow. It's almost like he just created an army. And it's almost like he is a sovereign over his own land and anyone who chooses to live on his land. And now it seems like your so-called individual, loosely knit community is now in desperate need for what? A military. Oh, man. Now suddenly you're the big bad state. Now you have to suddenly form your own military. Oh, you're going to make a militia? You're going to make militia. Well, he's rich and he has artillery and guns and mines and tanks and airplanes and fighter jets, and you don't. Wow, it's almost like that's what happens in human history. It's almost like people choose to form nations to advocate for their collective interests. And those people choose to have a single head who leads those people and makes decisions on behalf of those people for their own benefit. Oh, whoa. Wow, it's almost like you've just become a totalitarian, Eric. July. Oh, it's almost like all the ANCAP's entire ideology just magically evaporates the moment that there is anybody with bigger and better guns shows up. Now, Cool Dude is correct. Lolberts shouldn't be taken seriously, but the problem is Lolberts still have a lot of influence on conservative politics. Because what they do is they constantly say, oh, Constitution. Oh, individual rights, human rights. And they just bemoan that constantly. They just moan and groan and whine and holler about that stuff. Have you read The Law by Frederick Bastiat? No, I have not. what is the end result of all of this? Well, the end result is that no matter what you try and do to get away from hierarchy, it is built into our human nature. Hierarchy is part of the DNA of the human spirit, and it's because our very natures reflect the image in which we were created in, which is God. God himself is hierarchical by nature. And the divine council, which we see throughout the scriptures, is hierarchical. The angels have a hierarchy. Hierarchy is fine. There's nothing wrong with hierarchy. In the eschaton, there will be hierarchy. There will be those with greater and bigger crowns than we could ever have ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a part of who we are. It's all over creation, as someone said. And so that is the reality of the situation, guys. The reality of the situation. More and more. That's very unfortunate. That's a new business right there. Interesting. Anti-liturgy is Protestantism, in my opinion. I would agree. Why is Mariama dissing me, catching strays for no reason? You guys are funny. Free markets, private property, are natural extensions of the gospel into the economic system, whether governed by judges or a monarch, in my opinion. Well, I think that the free markets is a loose term. I don't even like the term free markets. I think protectionism is good. By free market, if what you mean by a free market is that there is a market that you can freely join if you desire, sure. But if you mean by free markets is that everything goes, there's no regulations, there's no rules, there's nothing holding you to any sort of standards or rules or regulations, then I would disagree. I think that it's good to have regulations. I think it's good for government to intercede and stop bad business practices and things like that. So if that's what you mean, then I would disagree. But if you mean by like a freely voluntary, that any individual can join at any point to join, sure. As for private property, I mean, sure. I don't have a problem with private property. My question is that at the end of the day, your private property is really only your own mind. It's going to take a little bit longer here. Shave your hair, bro. If you can't grow a full beard, don't even try. You guys got to be quiet. Guys are going to whisper. We're in Korea. Alright, let's see here. 네. on, guys. I'm being quiet because it's rude to be speaking loudly in an elevator with people right there. It's rude. People don't want to be in that, and they don't want to be in my camera. I will address you guys, the rest of your guys' comments in a second. Puffer, you don't need to ban that person, but I'm going to address them in a second. I'm going to go get this to the wife, and then we're going to go on a walk, guys. It's beautiful out. I'm just going on a walk because I like going on walks and it's fresh. I'm just walking around the park. I'm just walking around the. I'm just. Whatever. All right, guys. Okay, so somebody mentioned my beard. I can't grow a beard, but I don't care what you think. Should I make ASMR content? I should. And then somebody was rude. Even the someone said Cal Gore. I don't know who you are, but even ugly Korean girls don't want you. It's tough. Well, I mean, my wife is quite beautiful, so. My wife is quite beautiful. So I don't, doesn't hurt my feelings. And also, to the contrary, I'm told I'm very handsome all the time here in Korea. Far more often than I do in the States. So kompensiv. Octavian, how are you doing? Were you beating up your... No, I don't. No. Let's see here. Palamite fanatic. Well, you're not really Palamite if you're a Latinizer. And I guarantee you Bryce J doesn't affirm your guys' positions. He affirms Craig Truglia's position. He's been asked about it multiple times. He's said that multiple times. So if you just want to lie, that's fine. But you can lie you can go ask Bryce to make a video condemning anything. If Bryce J condemns the economic atonement theory, or economic atonement, the Orthodox position from Craig Truglia's video, if he condemns that, then fine, we can address it then. But until then, it's just your guys' like interpretation of his words, where he vaguely affirms like a scholastic, that he doesn't completely reject scholasticism, which is like fine, sure. I think scholasticism is silly. I don't think there's really much usefulness in the scholastic method, frankly, from the West, I should say, very specifically. So I don't really understand what your entire position is. It just kind of... Nicholai, how do you feel Bryce the Latinizer position? Yeah, I just, like I said, Latinizers like to claim a lot of people. You guys used to claim Craig Truglia. You guys used to float his... you guys used to float around with his... By the way, I have to go driving with the wife in like maybe 15-20 minutes, so... There's about a 15-20 minute walk here, and then we're guys gonna get going. But we will do a stream afterwards. If we want, we can do one on Latinizers. I don't care. But the point is that it's kind of funny to me. These guys are always ankle biting, always ankle biting. More like Skittle sizers. Ha ha ha. Cool, dude. You're funny. Tuning in from Pumping Iron. I'm going on a walk. It's beautiful out, guys. The ground isn't even cold. I can touch it. My hand's not even cold. It's a little breezy, though. That's the only thing I'll say is it's a little breezy today. I think I'm going to stay out. Well, we'll walk this way. But, yeah, no, the Latinizer position, yeah, they're silly. They're retarded. I kind of already said what I needed to say about the other stuff. Hold on, the wife's calling me, guys. Alright, guys. Sorry about that, guys. But, yeah, there's not much I can... Yeah, sorry, guys. The wife has some plans. Apparently, our new home, we have something going on in our new home, so we're gonna be moving soon. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I got some plans for some content here soon. I got some new theological content that I've been working on, and I've been getting reviewed by clergy before I go ahead and post it. So that's gonna be fun. And then very soon we're going to be, I'm also going to be doing some reviews of other Orthodox content creators' stuff, actual standalone videos of their stuff, which I think will be fun. So, I also highly recommend everybody go. I'm Midwestern. I'm from Minnesota. I grew up in Minnesota. Did you miss the part about monarchism versus... Yeah, the monarchism and libertarianism stuff was the beginning of the stream, so you guys can go back and watch it afterwards. It's pretty boring. Libertarians are stupid. That's what it comes down to. So, with that being said, guys, I don't have much else to say. I gotta get going because the wife has a bunch of stuff. He was talking on his live stream that the Orthodox Church taught PSA for 1,000 years. Can you offer a debate him on this, please? Who was talking about it? William Van Diaper. Diaper? You'll have to... Why don't you message me down below? Cool, dude. I've done some streams on that. I might do another. You'll have to ask me another time, but I have to get going, unfortunately. So we'll have to talk about that another time. Maybe the next live stream, the next walk and talk, okay, guys? And the next walk and talk is gonna be a doozy. It's gonna be a nice long one because the weather's starting to get nice out. I can actually like do some walking. So I haven't been able to do some walking in a while, so I have to get going, guys. Hopefully I'll do another one tonight. We'll see. And if you guys have some topics that you want me to hit up, just message me down below. God bless.